pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine, commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux et un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupés ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine, commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux et un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupés ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine, commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux et un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupés ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine, commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux et un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupés ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine, commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service
For platform yo, merci pour support, reprendre, so nous là, and, passer, the link by moun, reprendre, share it, because nous besoin reach out to many more people, nous get great topic, même là, on a commencé avec politique, but nous avons pile de topics nous couvrons parce que parce que quand plus moun yo pas veut juste des politiques ou regarder moun yo besoin relax parce que il y a déjà des problèmes il y a des mauvaises nouvelles politiques ça yo viennent plus problème but nous obligé ba nous deux trois paroles parce que on connaît politique là qui fait vivre oui qui affecte les vies dans tout genre, vous comprenez?
C'est la vie.
Yeah, so, so qui ça nous, qui politique nous portez vous, peuple là?
Des Trump et des Trump.
Oui. Trump get le payo. Elle dit que c'est Trump get le payo sorti comme oui. Oh, micro va ouvert. Oh, ok.
Non, mais non.
Le système là. Ah, ok.
Et je n'ai dit, nous saluons le bas, nous saluons madame, nous saluons madame Johnny, madame Franck. Célibataire, moi, mais c'est madame,
ok, merci, ok, salut madame, parce que les sortes de maisons, vous me dites, salut, oui, parce que ou même il fallait même mettre dans le problème, oui,
c'est Judas.
Oui, c'est Judas.
Faut gérer l'argent. Monsieur, pas rien dehors, mais c'est moi-même qui dehors,
mais ça qui puis la semaine passée, c'est ça, dame là. Vous t'avez madame semaine passée. C'est même ça pas madame. Parce que c'est ça le monde. Il salue au monde semaine passée là. Oui, quel autre sous.
Je sais pas qu'à faire quitter.
C'est même je dis.
Je quitter.
C'est ça qui est réconcilié.
Bon, anyway, bref.
Yeah.
Bon, nous disons m'arrêter dans avec Trump là. Trump presque fin de nos dictateurs dans mais nous. Trump pas avec le monde parler, aider bien seulement pour parler. Avec affaire Ice c'est ça.
But he try.
Ice montre au pays ça va gagner démocratie même encore nous.
Oui.
Faut m'a prend coup. Ça pas ta moun dans bedou là.
Ice mood.
Bon, on va reconnaître qu'on le paye action. You pay $120,000 and then you buy $50,000 bonus for your sign up.
Oui, c'est qui commence à
oui, et puis ça ouais you met basket puis ça ici qui met masque. Puis quand tu là ici sous pas papier donc c'est tout comme ça you
ba grand moun là qui dans prison. Yo metté dans prison là.
Qui est ça?
Quand même déporté. Monsieur, c'est un Spanish, monsieur, monsieur, grand agent Ice. Moi, c'est un avocat. Kounya là, monsieur, identité Manzé, lui révélé identité Manzé.
Oh. Là,
monsieur a sur Facebook, il n'y a pas d'ouvert. Là, où agent, tout agent, il y a un
you get my yeah.
Il y a un cagoule ou un zambédou là. Petit geste non.
Il faut tout faire la femme.
Je vais va marcher le là. Bon faut tu là, bon faut ma petit là. Il aime petit break time.
communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service, taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley tax service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley tax service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service, taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley tax service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley tax service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service, taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley tax service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley tax service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service, taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley tax service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley tax service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration, tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causier. Qui bail service, taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley tax service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley tax service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui est Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui est Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui est Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Une équipe professionnelle, compétente, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier.
Bon, nous retourner après petit problème qui est gagné. Nous retourner.
Oh, c'est le
Bon, nous gagnons. Bon, ok. Nous n'avons pas de problème. Nous gagnons 11 amis qui gagnent pour venir participer avec nous et lui-même qui gagne comme guest aujourd'hui dans l'émission. Et bon, et la guest a vu non. Et guest a vu là, elle va être là. Correct?
Alright.
Bon.
What's going on? Ça qu'a fait là?
Tout bas, ok, oui là.
Moi, nous avons petit bien moi là.
Pourquoi je vous servis que je vous servis guest?
I see.
Vous gâtez encore?
La coupe on va quitter placement avec Franck, oui là. Qui
va faire interview.
Et guest là. Invitez-nous à ce qui est.
Oh, Marc, mon plaisir.
Mon plaisir.
Marc, mon plaisir. We are here.
Mais son plaisir pour nous gagner là, man.
Son plaisir.
Monsieur Gon boucle là, il marche avec bouclier.
C'est singer, will they do good?
Way back in the day.
Avant qu'il était là, on a capé le wall.
Elle aime des jeunes, man.
N'a juste pas vu ses petits et puis la
I gotta send a warning to so I invited some people.
Mac, more please.
Yeah, I invited some people. They don't speak Creole. So,
yeah.
Is this completely in Creole?
Frank is gonna do the interview, so it's gonna do it.
Yeah, English and Creole, you know.
Okay, cool.
Straight bilingual.
Bilingual. I like it. I like it.
If you want a little bit
Spanish,
Spanish,
no problem.
Spanish.
Frank, can you please come over here?
Yeah, but you change, you stop the thing.
I don't have to. But anyway.
I like this whole setup. This is
You like
it's
it?
official. Yeah, this is official.
So relax, that's why we call those emissions Lakou Trankil.
Lakou Trankil.
So,
Ak taxou, vin jwen expert nan Smiley Tax Service, yap korije yo pou Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belrose, New York. Téléphone 516-673-4677, 516-673-9767. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux ak yon service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé yo ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offri communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on file application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin jwen expert yo nan Smiley Tax Service, yap corrigé yo pour ou. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belrose, New York. Téléphone 516-673-4677, 516-673-9767. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux ak yon service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé yo ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offri communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on file application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin jwen expert yo nan Smiley Tax Service, yap corrigé yo pour ou. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belrose, New York. Téléphone 516-673-4677, 516-673-9767. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux ak yon service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé yo ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offri communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on file application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil taxe ou ak expert, Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak taxe ou, vin jwen expert yo nan Smiley Tax Service, yap corrigé yo pour ou. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belrose, New York. Téléphone 516-673-4677, 516-673-9767. Yo Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux ak yon service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé yo ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offri communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on file application pour quelle que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak IRS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp, 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belle Rose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 660.
Are we live? Okay. We are live. We are back, I should say. We were live before with my good friend Mark More Plaisir. You know, for the people, you know, this is one of his books. I think you have a new book out. Do you have it with you too?
I have both.
So we're gonna have a great discussion today. This is
The Power of You.
this is one of his new book. I didn't get that one yet, so I'm gonna get it from him today on Amazon. And you're gonna get one from him too, right? Everybody in here gonna buy one.
I'm going to leave some. I'm not sure.
One. You probably leave one. Okay. Anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna let Mark introduce himself. He's no stranger to my show before, but is new to this platform. So go ahead, Mark, introduce yourself. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate the welcoming, and I love this setup you guys have going on here. It's really cool. Yeah, for sure.
I miss you coming back.
Right? So I'll definitely be back. No, but it's good to be here, man. You know, just it's always great having conversations with you.
Yes.
I'm excited to do the same, and I brought some books, right? So my first book, Strong Women, Fed Up Men, Defeated Sons, Broken Daughters, Healing Generational Pain. It's doing quite well. People are actually really benefiting from it. And I published the second one, I believe, last year, which again, like, people really love because it's almost like an affirmation book, a devotional rather than, you know, you can read it every week, right? You read about a different topic every week, which is amazing because you can use that, whatever it is that you read about, you can use that as a guide.
Yeah, it's there's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's 52 chapters, right?
Oh, okay,
so, so every week you read
Every
about
week.
the power of a word, and then you use that word to guide your week. And so it's really powerful, man. I've gotten a lot of great feedback.
Is it Christian based or just for anybody?
All my books are they're not Christian books, but I do use scriptures, right? Because I'm a Christian.
You're a Christian.
And so it's good for everybody, right? And honestly, most of my readers actually are not Christian. I have a lot of Jewish readers.
Oh yeah,
who really appreciate just the concept of the book because they can use it as a guide to make sure that they design their week, right? To make sure they get what they want in terms of their reaction, interactions with people, or even the way they respond to certain things that happen throughout the week and even in their lives. So it's not just for Christians, man. I want to make sure everybody, regardless of your religious background, regardless of what you believe in, regardless of where you're from, who you are, you can use my books to improve your life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This book, to me, I feel like it should be bestseller because you went back and look at the history of Black people to see why the family dynamic. Now what is the family dynamic now? Like the impact that slavery had on relationship and on marriage, the way that we raise our kids, all these things. And it's almost like we always hear in the church generational curses, right? So people don't understand. People sometimes I feel like they feel like somebody put a curse on me.
Right.
No, it's not that. It's just your past. The way that your environment at home, the teaching, everything that you went through as a child. So this is all that put it in a group that make you the person that you are now. And the thing is, we don't look so much. Not too many people are reading about the past, right? Or they don't know enough. And especially to the Haitian community, even though we're gonna cater to everyone, but they always say start at home first, right? We Haitian, so we want to start at home first to make sure our people is okay. Because I feel we see a lot of mess up marriage. We see a lot of mess up family dynamic. We see a lot of thing that's going on. We don't know. Sometimes they blame. They're like, oh, it's voodoo. It's this. It's that. But most of it is just the fact that we had a mess up past.
It's a it becomes a mindset. It becomes habits.
Yes.
Right. And so I just to give a quick synopsis of the book. When I wrote this book, it was such a revelation for me because I can go into the whole backstory of how I actually started writing the book.
Yeah, go ahead. Give us a little snippet.
Yeah. So you kind of know part of my story. Yes. I was married before, and that ended, and I remember. In the thick of it, I went to Miami, right? I went to Florida because I wanted to get away to kind of regain, myself, right? In the midst of all of that. And so I remember I was at the hotel, and that night, it was Saturday night, I was at the hotel, and it was pouring outside, right? It was raining, and then I started listening to gospel music, right? I started to listen to this. There was a song by Tamela Maine that was playing, Take Me to the King. I mean, that song really spoke to me.
Powerful.
Yeah, that song spoke to me, and then I started listening to T.D. Jakes, right? And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just praying and crying and just having a moment, right? And then when I got back to New York that Sunday, I had this revelation almost that says you need to write a book.
Wow.
Right? And so I started writing. It was like August, I believe August maybe 20th, right? And I had a schedule where every Saturday, every Sunday, I would just spend 7-8 hours just writing. And it was so amazing because I didn't even know where the words were coming from.
Wow.
Right? It's almost like I was being fed the words. And then, of course, I started talking to clients, interviewing people, doing research, finding out why in our communities, right? Especially as an African descent individual, I wanted to almost help my people because I've experienced certain things, especially growing up in Haiti. And so I wanted to understand some of those detrimental patterns that we almost in every African descent countries, right? It's almost like we're all experiencing the same thing as, African descent people. And so I wanted to understand it. And so went on this chase, this journey to really find out why are we like this? Why our communities are deteriorating and not really thriving. And so based on talking to clients, doing research, and really even self-reflecting to understand myself, analyzing different relationships around me, friends, family. And then again, the book came out, man, a year later, right? I was done writing it a year later. And you can, if when you read the book, there's stories, right? When I interview people about their past, right? What happened in the past that actually dictating how you behave right now. how you have relationships with others, how you're raising your children, right? And so those things are really powerful because it really gives us almost like a peek into some people's lives and why they are where they are and what they can do moving forward. So I talk a lot about forgiveness, right? Purpose. I talk about, there's a chapter in the book where I talk about, it's not you, it's me, right? Because I wanted to understand me, right? And I didn't want to blame anybody else. My choices were my choices. My decisions were my decisions because of the information I was given. And so it was up to me to choose
taking
something
responsibility
different.
for your action.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
And so it may not have been my fault, certain things that happened, but now as a grown-up, as an adult, it is my responsibility to make sure I fix it, right? And so I talk a little bit about the history of slavery and how we inherited a lot of the dysfunctions that, the way the masses used to treat us, right? The way the masses used to convince us that, well, I'm doing this because I love you. I'm doing this because I want what's best for you. But if you whooping me, if I'm working 16 hours in the sun every day, is that really love, right? And so many of us associate love with hardships, right? We associate love. Well, we beat our children saying, I'm only doing it because I love you, right?
In Haiti, right?
Exactly, right? But that shouldn't be the way you express love, at least not on a regular basis, right? And so I want all of us to really take a, reflect on how we are, who we are, and what we can do differently to make sure that we have a different outcome, and so we can create healthier communities, healthier relationships, and raise healthier children. And so the book is really powerful, man. It's in the library right now, so I'm really proud about that and really excited for to reach a broader audience because it's such a powerful book. I'm excited that I was able to write it.
Johnny, you wanna ask any question or you want me to move on?
I mean, so basically, this book is just basically talking about our past, like we can escape from our past, right? So basically our past is shaping whatever you're gonna do tomorrow, right? So it's funny because you said that because I was away for a little while, and then I had one of my friends, and then he was telling me how he got a scar from his mom when he was little. And the funny thing is, his mom keep on escaping that past because every time he talks about that scar, and then she's like, it's like she regrets it.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? But she said she was doing it out of love for him, right?
Right.
And then now she regrets it every time he said, "Mom, you remember that? It's it's still bothering me to this day."
Yeah.
And she regrets it.
Yeah.
It's funny. So I could relate with that. I just not too long ago. I'm talking about 2 weeks ago.
That's hard, right? It's hard, especially when we look at our parents. Most of our parents did their best. Yeah. Right, and oftentimes they passing down to us what they were taught, what they have, right? And even when we're talking about parents who were, I don't want to say abusive to their children, but but they weren't loving parents, right? Or at least they didn't really treat their children in healthy ways. And so as adults now, we're looking back, right? And for me, I grew up in Haiti, right? I grew up in Haiti, and the way that I was brought up was the same way that many of us were brought up in Haiti, right? I mean, you get a whooping, right? You can't talk to adults, right? It's disrespectful. And then we come here. It's a different culture, right? And so now we actually understanding that a lot of the ways that we were treated were not healthy, right? And we have a lot of trauma because of those things, right? And so what I've learned personally is to empathize with our parents, right? We can't blame them for what they didn't know, right? We can't blame them for what they were taught, right?
Because most of them, if I could jump in, most of them didn't have maybe a high school diploma, or even and especially with the little resource Haiti have for the most of us, right? For the low class, because they only have low and high class, right? So I feel like even the time that a kid, even I see that now, that the kids might have ADHD, right? Have some type of not dysfunction, but sometimes
mental disorder.
Mental disorder, yes. And the parents don't understand it. The kid is acting up, jumping up and down, and then the kid will say, "Oh, I fed this or or you acting out, you not behaving." But the kids cannot control themselves.
Yeah.
Come on, because you have a little background on that.
Right. So
talk about that.
It's interesting. I know.
Death,
yeah, especially boys, right?
Yeah. Boys,
and what I realized, right? What I've realized is that a lot of people don't understand boys, right? They don't understand the almost like the genomic makeup of boys, right? They, especially in America, they expect boys to act like girls, right? To be calm and to express yourself nicely. I have a daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter, right? And she's a talker, and I can see the difference between her and boys, right? When I'm around little boys her age, I mean, they're active. And that's okay. That's great, right? Because they express themselves differently. Exactly. Yeah. Boys are more physical than girls. Girls are more expressive verbally, and that's great. But it's knowing how to actually embrace those things, right? How to embrace those different aspects of boys and girls. And so in America, especially when I first came to here in America, in late 90s, a lot of boys, like young boys, were actually diagnosed with mental health disorders because they didn't understand the nature of boys, right? The behaviors of boys. And so if a boy was acting up in class, that, well, you're being disruptive, therefore you may have ADHD. You may have...
Let me ask you this, because I don't know, oh my God, his name is not coming to mind. It's a black psychologist, I think, Umar.
Dr. Umar.
Dr. Umar,
yeah.
So he said that most of those, there were tests done, all these things, like they see like there's a bias where they say the black boys, they associate them with more mental disorder than the white counterpart. Yes. So why is that? Because you say they didn't understand boys, but I feel like they didn't understand black boys.
Right.
Yes. Right?
Yes.
Let's be honest. I know you might not want to lose your life.
That's real. That's real.
Bias,
absolutely. And that's always been around, right? And when we're looking at, again, we're not talking about black men yet, right? It's not, that's just a black experience in America, right? And that starts with black boys, right? If you don't understand somebody's stories, if you don't understand how they're being brought up, how can you help them? How can you relate to them, right? And even take that to men, a lot of black men get arrested because they're not understood, right?
But
they don't have that
not
space.
Understood, or is they're plan it like that?
Yes.
No, because let's be honest.
Right.
The system is set up because after slavery, right? You went to Jim Crow, they keep finding way to imprison men, young black men, because remember back in the day where they had they were free, free slave, so therefore they were using them for work, for labor. But now they have to find a way to put them in jail and still use them. So why is it that there's more black men in prison where when the population, they're showing there's more white men, right? And when they look at it, they show that there's study because they don't pull over the white men, they commit the same amount of crime as black men. But because they don't get pulled over, they, most of the time, hey, you white, you could go. They're not gonna stop you. The other day I had a police officer stop me because I'm driving a car with a tag, but I got the tag from the dealer. Right. So the first thing he did, I asked him why you pulled me over. He said, "Oh yeah, you didn't put your turn signal." Right. No, listen to me. You didn't put your turn signal. You were supposed to put it half a block way before. But I'm like, number one, I understand you're supposed to put it half, but I did put my turn signal on. Right. But the fact, when you're driving a car, sometimes you put your turn signal, but if you made like a turn, it will come off. So then you have to put it again. So I put it like 2 or 3 times. But the reason he pulled me over is because of the tag that was behind my car. Because what happened is because a lot of people using the fake tag. So he's thinking that's what, I'm a black guy, and it was a nice car, and then he wanted to pull me over because I'm black. But I guarantee you, if it was a white person, he would not pull that person. A white man, he would not pull him over. So I think the system is set up like that.
Yeah, we can't ignore, racial discriminations, right? And we can't ignore a system that's been around for hundreds of years, right? That would be really, it would make sense, right? It would not. It would be naive to say that we don't have a system that's always. That was built against us, right? Against African descent people. And it will continue to be that, right? And so for me, what I tend to focus on is how can we as a people, right, as African descent people, how can we actually come together and help create our own system that actually benefit us, right? And part of that, for me, writing the books, giving talks, right, encouraging people, empowering people to actually take ownership of your life, and that way we can actually create our own communities where we can actually govern ourselves in a sense, right, police ourselves, because I've seen, officers in communities like African descent communities, right, that they don't understand at all. They cannot relate to. They don't know your story, right? They see you, they look at you, they see a threat.
My whole thing is, do they? If that's the case, why is it like, to me, because every time the police officer go, I only see on TV. I have family member that's police, extended family member, but I never really have that conversation. Matter of fact, I asked one of them to come and talk to me, but he haven't given me the okay yet. But what I'm seeing is, like, before the police officer go out on the duty, right? They have like a group meeting. That's what I see on TV show, right? So do they tell them, okay, hey, get to know your people, get to know your neighbor, interact with the people, or at least let them know the certain behavior, or let them watch some video, let them know, hey, train them to how to interact with people that that's in that neighborhood. Or if not, when you hire them, because there's certain state, there's certain county that say, if you don't live in that county, we're not gonna hire you.
No, listen, I know a lot of people in the on the force, right? I have mentees who are police officers. I have a good friend of mine, he's a lieutenant, and we talk all the time, right? And so they actually do have a lot of training. Right? They have a lot of training that actually prepare them for when they get on the streets. But here's the thing. You cannot fix a system that's been broken, right? A system that was created on brokenness, right? A system that was created not to benefit certain group of people, right? And again, you can't. The system is always going to be there, right? But I believe we can help change people's hearts, right? We can help change people's perceptions of certain group of people, right? Because there's, you cannot. Especially when we look at social media, right? Social media, or even the media, there is an image that a lot of people will look at and say, well, you are the image of this, right? You are actually a depiction of bad, right?
Because that's what's portrayed to you on the film.
Exactly, right? So and so when you have that, and you have a lot of officers who were never exposed to anything else but what they see in the media, what they see on social media, right? Or their perception of that specific group. And so when they get to interact with them, even if they have good intentions, even if, in their hearts they say, what, I really want to help people, but because of that fear, right? When you get in that interaction, guess what kicks in? You either want to fight or you want to run, right? Without understanding the nature of these people. But because of that preconceived notion, that image you already have in your head, you already believe that, what? If I don't do what I need to do, if I don't subdue you first, then my life is in danger, right? So there's already this image of your danger, right? You a danger to me. You a risk to me. And so I have to make sure I protect myself because I don't want to get, off by you. You know what I mean?
But I think it's all depend on the officer, like you say, maybe whether we change their heart, or they have they're just being fair, be fair. Because I remember I was pulled over maybe 10, 15 years ago, and the police officer was so nice to me. I thought I was not gonna get a ticket. Yeah. Like he even told me, I was like, yes.
But you got one, right?
I got one. But he told me what I need to do because it was I was like on the phone. That was back then. They didn't have the Bluetooth, and then I put my phone in the visor. No, he told me to put my phone in the visor. Because they was first coming out with the Bluetooth. He wasn't able to connect phone on the car, all this thing. Now we lucky, right? We get so much thing now. But it was so nice, and and then it was a white officer. Yeah. And then after that, I thought I wasn't not gonna get a ticket, but even though I respect him, even though I got the ticket, I respect him because the way that he approached me like a human being. Yeah. Not like because I'm black or why he just approached me like a human being. I respect that officer.
And that's what it's about, right? Yeah. That's what it's about, being treated or treating others as yourself.
I don't know if you have that in your book, like the way you were talking about communities, right? I feel like when I first came here, like I was always seen like Italian community, Chinese, whatever and whatnot. I've been thinking like, why like black people can just like put themselves together? Unify? Do you think like, I mean, I don't know, based on your book, do you think like that goes way back on the past? So we like that though?
Absolutely. That's actually part of the first chapter. Where I give a quick story about how we started, right? Post-slavery, even during slavery, black people couldn't really have families. Right, we weren't allowed to have families because we didn't have that privilege, and it was even against the law to have family. Because even when you look at if a woman would give birth to a child, that child could be taken and get sold to a different plantation, right? So you were properties of your masters, and so after 200 years of living that way, after 200 years of experiencing brutal treatments from people, it's hard to wake up one day and we've had communities, right? When you look at the 50s, 40s, we started having real communities, but that was because we weren't part of a bigger group, right? We were segregated, so we had to come together and build and create something of our own, and even that was destroyed, right, by other people. But the truth is, we were never not only allowed to have family dynamics, like healthy family dynamics, we didn't know how to have healthy family dynamics. And so, especially now when you look at our communities, right, it's unfortunate that many of us, right, many black boys, black girls are being raised by one parent, like a single parent, right? So we have a lot of individualism in the black community. We don't necessarily have family dynamics, and I think that's something that we really need to think about, because we cannot have communities without mothers and fathers, right? Without family dynamics, right?
It's funny that you said that because you say you're from Haiti, right? So basically, the Haitian education is basically based on that individualism. So basically, whatever you have to do, you have to be the first. You have to be on top. Whatever.
Look at where we are. I mean, look at where we are. It's so unfortunate.
That's not gonna work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I wanna you talk about single parents. Right? It's so important because I know. There was one time where they did allow us to have family, right? And they just separate, where they have separate but equal, whatever. Right. I mean, it wasn't really equal, but when they have segregation, where we had, we had our own ghetto, we had to be in the ghetto, whatever, and we started doing well, like you say. Yeah. And then they burned a lot of town that was doing well, right? And then also there was a time that because that we was fighting for freedom, and we had the husband and the wife and the house and the kids. They saw that we were organized.
Right.
So then later on they said, okay, we cannot have that.
Right.
Then they came with the welfare law, right? I think you
Yeah.
talking about that, you know, a little bit on your book. So they say that you're not allowed, if the government is giving you money, you're not allowed to have a man in the house.
No man in the house, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's how all these things started.
Right.
So now, my thing is where you see a lot of mothers, right, raising, you know, men and women, right? They're raising their boys and girls.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the woman first, right?
Yeah.
So they're raising their little girl, and you always see there's a pattern. You always see that whether the grandmother was single, like end up being single mother, then the mother becomes single, and then when the little girl go up to be a wife, it's like now they're putting the same idea into that girl head to be single.
Right.
You know, you see a pattern. The mother, you know, the Bible says the mother is supposed to teach her daughter, right? He talked that about in the Bible. I think Paul was saying something like that. Teach her how to be a good wife.
Right.
But I feel like, especially in the Haitian community or even the American community, they're doing a disservice. In the American community, they don't teach the girls to cook, right? You don't see, you see a lot of American girls don't cook.
Especially nowadays, right?
Yeah, and then in the Haitian community, they don't teach the woman how to respect the men in the household. I don't know if you could talk on that. I know.
Sure.
I might not be able to work out. I'm trying to get me in trouble. There might be a bunch of female women from the outside.
No, but here's the thing.
No,
right?
Dawson.
No, but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Whatever's going on right now, it's not a man issue. It's not a women issue, right? It's an us issue.
Yes.
Right? And even when we have this culture where, you know, a lot of kids are growing up in single parent home and mothers are raising children and continuing really the dysfunction in the black community, it's not a woman's fault, right? They're not having babies by themselves. Right?
Yes.
But the thing that we, you know, I hope honestly that we can face is the fact that first of all, we have a system that's working against us, right? We have a system that was not created to facilitate our family dynamic, right? So I think that should actually give us enough reasons to say, you know what? Because of this, let me make more efforts, right, to make sure that I have a family dynamic that actually works for me, for my community, and not just looking at what everybody else is doing, right? Around the world, around the country, or whatnot. And then secondly, if you don't know your history, at some point you're gonna repeat it, right? Because a lot of traditions and patterns get passed down, and those become habits and behaviors.
But then you do know if it's been passed down. Is it the fact, to me, I feel like the mother, right? You know, correct me if I'm wrong, that they teach their daughter the wrong thing. Because you see it that, why is it that...
It's the same problem.
Yeah, why is it that the, you know, you as the wife, the grandma or the mother, you end up with no men. The grandma, no men either.
Right. Let me ask you something.
No father.
Right?
Why keep going generation to generation?
Let me ask you something. Right. Let me ask you something. If you don't know how to drive a car, can you teach me how to drive a car?
No.
Right. So a lot of people, it's not that they really teach
their history. Right. They don't know their history.
You know, a lot of our people in the black communities have no idea what slavery was about. A lot of people in our communities have no idea what segregation was about.
Now they're gonna learn with Trump.
But even so, they're not even gonna accept it.
That's the same thing
because to them it's not real. Right. I mean, a lot of people
it's real, but they're gonna feel it.
They're gonna feel it for a moment, right? But then they're gonna go back to the old life and say, you know what, it is what it is. Then everything will be fine, right? And that's what many of us do, because we don't really take time to reflect on the history, right? Many of us don't know the real history about Haiti. We don't know the U.S. occupied Haiti for 15 years and took all its resources, right? A lot of Haitians don't know that, right? And so because we don't have a clear understanding of those histories, right? And so we're just floating by, right? We're just passing habits and behaviors and patterns and traditions without even being aware that's what we're doing. So when you look at a grandparent, right? So the grandparent grew up, didn't have a healthy family dynamic, right? Didn't have a 2-parent home. And then when they have a kid, guess what? You don't have the tool to teach your kid.
Learn it. Read a book.
But then you have to be aware that it's something that you need to learn. If that's my normal, right? That's my normal. That's what I know. You think I'm really going to take time and say, you know what? Maybe this is not normal.
Or the fact I saw a lady encouraging a kid not to go to work so they could receive welfare.
I mean,
and they said, you want me to be like you? It was a son. She said, the son tell the mother, you want me to be like you? You want me to go up in welfare? No. It's like she didn't want to lose her welfare check.
And again, we're talking about
good kids.
Good kids.
No, I mean, you have people who actually want to break the cycle.
Yes.
Right? But it's not easy to break it. Right? Because you grow up it's been there for so long. That's one. You also grow up in communities that actually encourage and empower those cycles, right? If you grow up within your community, whether it's in the project or you grow up around people who actually think like you, behave like you, believe what you believe, where are you going to go and say, you know what? Maybe there's something different out there, right? It can happen, right? But it requires time. It requires learning, requires teaching. And for many of those folks, they're not open to that teaching.
Sorry for cutting you. I know, Johnny, you could talk after that if you have a question. But what I wanted to add is that I don't want to say just the woman for, because just like you said before, it's a us for, right? Because you look at it, there's a lot of men that's not doing their job, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? That many, whether it's on their own, fault or the government, on them not finding job, but or them not being prepared to do what they're supposed to do as a man, as a father, as a husband.
Again, so all those things are roles, right? If you want to be a good husband, you have to learn how to be a good husband, right? If you don't have a father to teach you how to be a good husband, where are you going to learn it? If you want to be a good father, you have to be taught how to be a good father, right? Or you have to learn how to be a good father. If you don't have that willingness, because you believe whatever you were taught, whatever you were exposed to, that's just what the reality is. That's what you should expect. That's what you should pass down to your kids. Guess what? It's the same patterns that are going to be passed down, right? And so for a lot of men who grew up without that role model of a father, right, or father figure, I grew up with my grandfather. I mean, this guy taught me a lot of things, even though I was young. I still remember a lot of things that he used to talk about, right? I'm actually writing a book called Lessons from My Grandfather, because it's important to have that, right? And even some of the ways that I am in terms of work ethics, right? I grew up on a farm, right? Wow. I grew up on a farm in Haiti, in Haiti. I grew up on a farm, and so I used to wake up early. He used to wake us up early to go feed the animals, right? And so, like, that is good work ethic. But if you have a father, right? If you have a father who wasn't there, what do you have? Nothing. If you have a father who never even took time to teach you anything, what do you have? Nothing, right? If you have a father who was, who taught you unhealthy things, like selling whatever, right? Exactly. Right? What do you have? That's what you have, right? Because especially for sons, we look for that in a man. We look for that in a father figure, right? And so when we don't have it, we can say, you know what? I'm blaming you for not doing better. But I think it's a bigger issue. We have to actually accept the fact that this is an issue. And even for mothers, right? Even for mothers, they have to come to the realization, you know what? I cannot raise this kid on my own, right?
That's good.
I can't do it on my own. And so I need to create a dynamic that actually facilitates this kid having another parent, a father figure, right? And I get it, right? It's not going to happen overnight, because one thing I always tell people, right? And I know we talk about, abortion and well, we're not going to get into that, but it's important to understand, if I'm having a child, right? If I'm bringing a kid into this world, I need to actually think about that kid, and not just think about me having a good time for 30 minutes or 5 seconds. Because I have to think about that kid coming into this world and what that kid is going to experience. That's where we begin, right? Because once the kid is here, if you were not with a man who was actually responsible to begin with you, with himself, right? Can you really expect that man to be a good father?
That's the thing. It's not going to change overnight.
No, it's not, right? So we have a lot of work to do. We have to look at ourselves individually. We have to look at each other, and we have to accept the fact that we have a real issue in our communities. We have a big problem, and it doesn't start when the kid gets here. It doesn't start with where we are now, but we actually have to go deeper and say, you know what? I was never taught how to be a good father.
And then that's why you got to tell him with the book.
Yeah, but absolutely, right? I was never taught how to do a lot of things the right way, and so I have to admit that I don't know, right?
But let me say something, because I know there's a lot of dad who's probably not doing their part, but there's a lot of dad that's doing their part.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of men that's doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But we go back into the system, right? Yeah. Sometimes we have so much against us as black people, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's the only race, I remember this girl came on social media and she said, she's white, and she said, why they're always targeting black people? Like, for her, she didn't understand. She said, it's something special about the black people, that they keep targeting them, because there must be, because she just couldn't understand.
Yeah.
So saying that, when the welfare system came down and say, okay, you cannot allow any men to be there because the government was taking care of you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the government was not allowing black men to have jobs, right?
Yeah.
Because they had a system where they made way for all those white people, like created job for them. But I think there was something that eliminated the black people from having those jobs, right?
Right.
So now somebody, let's say now to the present day, you have mothers that's kicking the men out, or who doesn't not allow the men to be a father in the household, right? So I know the system, but also I feel like it's what they learn from their parents, right? So you have all this thing going on. How can we fight this? How can we kind of like educate those women that, the mothers, hey, it is in your best interest to have the father in the household, or even if it's not in the household, but to be part of the child life.
Right. Well, that is such a loaded question, because the issue is deeper, right?
Yeah.
And I could, just go in layers, right? Talk about layer one. Hurt is a real thing, right? A lot of those mothers are hurt because they get into relationships with men that they shouldn't have gotten into relationship with, right? And it's not, and I'm not saying not to blame the man, because it takes two to have whatever you have. So everybody's responsible. But the point is, when it comes to having kids, whether it's men or women, we have to think. It's not about us anymore. And the part that's about us is the fact that we actually made that choice, right? It may not have been a decision that was planned to have a kid, but we made a choice to have intercourse. And now we have a child. Yeah. So it's not about my feelings anymore. It's not about me getting you anymore. It's about me putting aside my feelings, my emotions, and make sure that this kid who never asked to be in this world gets taken care of, right?
The best thing is for them to wear condoms.
Well, listen, I mean, if you don't want to practice abstinence, then yes, protect your future children,
yes,
right? And so I could go again another layer and say, yes, we have a system that has been stacked against us, right? But at the end of the day, they're not telling us to go have babies, right? Yeah. They're not telling us to not go to school, get a degree, right?
So there's no responsibility.
Right, so we have a choice to make. And so you know what? And that's one thing I advocate for education, because that is one pathway to actually move ahead, right? Get ahead, right? And so I think, as much as I could say, well, because you're a single mom, you're raising the next generation who may not be the healthiest generation, but it takes more than that to actually come to a solution, right? Yeah. Because that mother is struggling. And one thing that many of us don't talk about is the trauma that's being passed down to those children, because I can't even imagine having to raise a kid alone. That is stressful, right? And so having somebody raising a kid by yourself, and many of them with no assistance at all, like no support system, then who gets the brunt of that trauma, that anger?
The
kid.
The kids.
The kid. Okay. That frustration, who gets the really brunt of it? That kid who never asked to be born, right? And so we have to start looking at the fact that, you know what? We already did what we did. This kid is here. How can we work together? It's not about my way being right, your way being wrong, but how can we work together and make
quickly,
sure?
I'm going to talk before 1 minute. So why is it that, sometimes I feel, not all the time, when the father blame the mother for leaving him and therefore don't take care of the kid? Sometimes they,
that don't make no sense.
That don't make no sense.
But if you blaming the female, how you not taking care of the kids? What the kids do with it? Like, I mean,
right.
Sometimes that's what happens.
We got nothing to do with the women. I mean, with the kid, like probably the guy,
Right. So, remember when I said when I said hurt is real, right? So, oftentimes, right, you have relationships that were never relationships, right? And you have relationships that end in really painful endings, right? And so when that happens, it's hard for parents to co-parent, and that leads to stress. It leads to chaos, dysfunction. It leads to hurt, even more hurt, right? And so when you don't know, let's say you were in a relationship with somebody, especially if it wasn't a committed relationship, and then you break up, but then you have a kid in the mix, right? So now, can you really expect to have a healthy co-parenting relationship for the sake of that kid? Probably not, because you never knew how to communicate to begin with, right? And so because of the system, right, we got to talk about the system. Because of the system that automatically says, well, the kid belongs to the mom, right? Because different states have different laws. Some, especially if you weren't married, some states require that you have to legitimize the kid, and until then you don't have any rights to the kid that you help make, right? And so right. And so we have to think about, before, if you already have a kid, right? Let's say somebody's in this situation, they have a kid, they weren't married, and they're dealing with this situation. You really have to ask yourself, is this about me, or is this about the kid? And let me make parents, mom and dad, men and women, kind of feel bad a little bit. I think it's extremely selfish, right? And I'm not saying that to bash or hurt or shame anybody, but I think it can be extremely selfish when we only see ourselves and not seeing that kid who never asked to be born, be put in this situation. Because as a father, right, to a 9-year-old, if I believe that I gave my daughter an unhealthy mother, that would kill me, because that was my choice. it's my fault, right? That you actually ended up with this mother, right?
But
And so,
but how can you? I'm a little lost. So you're saying that you made your ex-wife or your, generally not you, unhealthy. You're saying like the father.
no. So not unhealthy,
He's
right?
talking about both.
Right. So
parents.
it's so when you get with somebody, right? Whether it was a good time,
Okay.
whether it was a long time, right? Whatever the situation may have been, it was your choice, right?
Yes.
You chose to be with that person, whether it was for one night, whatever, right? It doesn't matter, but that was your choice. So now, as a parent, I have to tell myself, if I bring a kid into this world, it was my fault. If I didn't take the time to actually select somebody who would be a good mother to you, if I didn't take my time to be intentional and have a healthy relationship that actually facilitate you having a good life, that's on me.
Okay, or sometimes too the person came with trauma.
It happens, right? And which is why some
trauma.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes breakups happen.
Take your time, or maybe there should be a test. We should, I think a relationship, just like you have to take a test to drive, right? Right? So why not get a test to be if you're gonna before you have a kid or before you get married? But let's have a test.
There is a test.
But they always say yes.
But here's the test, right? Here's the test, and I know it's not easy to actually take the test or give the test, because oftentimes, we lead those relationships with our emotions or our sexual desires. Or just our own desires, right? Yeah. And so we don't really take time to assess and analyze people, right? Even if we see red flags. I've been there. Even if we see red flags, even if we see even if we see red banners, right? But we always have this hope that things are gonna change. And so you don't necessarily think about the fact that, well, tomorrow you're gonna become the father or the mother of our kids. Are you really fit to be that parent? Am I really fit to be that parent? Right? Am I in a good space to be a good parent? Right? Exactly. And so we all have to be honest with ourselves and say, well, give ourselves that test. Are we really fit to be good parents? And God forbid something happens, we end up breaking up. Can we co-parent? Can we put ourselves aside and say, you know what, this is for the betterment of that kid? Because that kid did not ask to be here, right? And so for me, the one thing that always, one thing that drives me is, if this kid is in a bad situation, it's on me. Yeah. Because I chose to have you, right?
It's like what you're saying. I mean, like sometimes people are so crazy, whatever. Like they thinking, like they don't see the red flag, like. For example, like you could be dating a woman, vice versa, right? Yeah. All they be doing is partying, like they go party every night, every day, whatever, every weekend. So how you gonna be sitting down and say, yo, tomorrow we're gonna have a kid or whatever? We're not just talking about it, like we just go and then you have a kid, and what are you gonna expect?
Well, yeah, I mean it requires maturity.
Like, vice versa.
Yeah.
Women.
Yeah, it requires maturity. Listen, I'm a Christian, right? I mean, I know you're a Christian. I don't know you guys, your faith, but so my thing, my thing, especially as a Christian, I want to emulate God, right? God as a father, right? How am I as a father to my daughter, right? And so I think if we could get to that space where men can actually think, well, if I have a kid, am I really treating this kid as God would treat me, right? Am I being a good example? Am I being kind and loving to this kid? Am I making sure that this kid is provided for? Because it's a responsibility that we take. Because imagine, right? That is your seed, your DNA, your gene out there, not being taken care of. And that has to mean something to you as a man if you are a responsible man, right? And as a mother, you have to tell yourself, well, that's my kid struggling, right? That's my kid really taking on my own trauma that they were never a part of, right? And so we have to be honest with ourselves and really say, well, this is not about me. And the only way that it should be about me is for me to be the best version of myself, so I can share that best version of me with that kid. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you talk about that, like you hit home, because I remember when I was younger. I mean, I'm still young, but
younger. We got you.
Yeah. So I used to play lottery a lot, like spending money, like wow, crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm low. Yeah. So, but one day I'm like, yo, God, can I stop doing this, man? I mean, like, this is crazy. I mean, I know it's crazy, but I just can't stop it.
Yeah.
But you know, it comes to shove, I had my daughter, and then I'm like, that's what they say, responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every time I'm thinking about playing a number, I'm like, damn, that's
I have
like a
a
bottle
kid.
of milk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I should go home.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
And then that's why I stopped. I stopped playing.
Yeah.
I don't play no more. I mean, I go play once in a while, but not like I used to do. Like,
No, I love that.
you know,
I love that.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah. No, listen, and especially when you become a father, right? And I'm always asked, this question. I have a great relationship with my daughter, and people often ask me, why do you do the things that you do for your daughter? Like, why do you care for her the way you do, right? And part of that, my answer is always, well, it's my responsibility, right? It's a responsibility I took on the moment I agreed to have a child.
Exactly.
But the way I do it is because I love her, right? I care for her lovingly. I protect her in a loving way. I talk to her in a loving way, right? So they have to go hand in hand. So as a father, and even mothers, right? Yeah. You have to understand the responsibility, one, but you have to handle that responsibility in a loving way. Because if you don't pass that love to your kids, if you're not in a space, right? If you're not in a space to pass down love to your kids, one, you cannot expect them to love you the way you want to be loved as a parent. And those kids are not going to grow up to be loving husbands and wives for their own lives. And so they're always going to struggle in their own personal relationships.
Yep.
So I have a question. The thing is, Tyree's ex-wife, right? I don't know. It really was on social media. I think maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember when that happened, when they got divorced. And I think now she's saying that she regretted. But one of the things that she says that she was getting bad advice. I don't know. I think it's from a mom, a friend. So my thing is, I can recognize in the lesson our parents taught us help us break unhealthy cycle and build new positive tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so here's the thing. Our surroundings impact us, right? So imagine you're a boat. You're in the water, right? And if you're not a boat without holes, you're not gonna stay afloat, right? So a lot of people, they around friends and family, they already have traumas that they're dealing with, and so they don't necessarily know what's healthy. And so anytime somebody gives them an advice, they just take it, right? And which is why it's extremely important, especially when you're in a relationship, because when you get into a relationship, you're actually learning how to be yourself in that relationship, right? You're learning somebody else. Yeah. And so there's a lot of holes, right? There's a lot of uncertainties. And so anybody can dictate what you do in your relationship. And if you have the wrong people around you, they can sink you, right? So I can totally understand her, regretting her decision, because many of us make decisions and choices not necessarily because we know what we're doing, right? And when we realize, wow, I was being given bad advice, right? Or I was acting based on emotions, or that because that's what I was taught. But then when you start growing and evolving, right, you start understanding healthier, then you're going to be like, wow, I had a good thing, but I messed it up because I was in a bad space. Now it's too late, right? But again, you can grow from it, right? And so the important part is, especially when you're in a relationship, you have to have people you trust, healthy people, right? People who actually have what you have, people who have what you want to have in a healthy way. Because sometimes when we're unhealthy, we can listen to anybody with all types of dysfunction, right? Because we're not in a good space to understand what healthy is, right? But we have to have people, and that's why I tell a lot of young men, get you a mentor, right? Get you somebody you trust, somebody you look at their life, not because of money, right? And it could be that too, but somebody who is actually living a life that is right with God, somebody who's living a life that's respected, right? And say, you know what? I want to be like this guy. Or at least I want to learn from this guy because I want to live a life that is actually in alignment with what I want in my life, right?
I want to be like Frank.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so talk to people you respect. Somebody who can say, you know what? You have a life, even though I'm not in it, but I can see you really value your life. I want to learn to value my life too. And so when, especially for women, you know, they can be, I don't know if I should say it. No, but I mean, they can be easily influenced, right? Okay. A lot of women can easily be influenced, and part of it is because, you know, they receive information through words, right, and not just actions like we do. And so when somebody's telling them everything that makes them feel good, most of the time they'll take it, right, and run with it, right, but not necessarily understand that, you know what, I need to look at actions too. Exactly. Right? If your advice don't align with your life, I don't want it from you. You know what I'm saying? You're telling me what to do, but you're doing something completely opposite. That ain't right. You know what I mean? Yes. So we have, especially again when we get into relationships, when we have relationships, we have to be mindful who we listen to, because sometimes people will sink your boat just because they're already drowning themselves.
Yeah, I just want to add, to me, I'm like, why they're not getting that from churches, like good information, or reading some good books that really, you know, inspire them. And they're getting a lot of junk from social media. You know, or friends from work. Right. You know, family member, all these things. You know, we want to move to the next question. My thing is, earlier I say that, you know, we was blaming the guys. We're saying the guys are not doing their job, right? You guys, there's no female in the panel to really talk for the female. But one of the things that I see, why is it that certain female, I'm going to say certain female, when you treat them good, they don't appreciate, they want the guy that treat them bad? You think it's some type of sickness? Because I never get killed. Is it based on back of slavery? Because, you know, like you were saying, they get beaten, they do that, or because I'm not even saying putting him, but you know, which the slam, when you dog the female out, they seem to respond better. That's the guy that they want. But the guy that's loving them, they even have a term for it now. They call them simp. And then I went to look it up. I'm like, simp, because I'm old school. I never knew, you know, now they call, usually they say, hey, this guy, what do they used to call it, like you, or is a goody two-shoe or whatever. Too nice. Oh, he's a nice guy. It's
not my type, but
it's too nice, right? That's what they say. I remember when I was younger, this girl said, "Oh, I'm too nice."
I don't want to be nice.
But it's because after that I got saved. But I'm like, if you only knew me when I was in the street, I would make you pay your mouth. That's what I thought. I was young. You know,
that's nice.
Because but that's the thing. Why is that? Because I don't get it.
You know.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no. We have to look at the way that a lot of people grow up, right? They grow up in dysfunction, right? I mean, if you know, we'll talk about the culture too. Like it's part of the culture, but we have to bring it, you know, a little closer to the nucleus aspect of it. If you didn't grow up with a father who taught you what love was, if you didn't grow up with a father who taught you what respect was, right? If you didn't grow up in a family dynamic that actually showed you how a man should treat a woman, where do you get your information?
Social media, maybe.
Social media, music videos, right? You know, MTV back then, right? And so a lot of BET, I mean, wherever, movies, right? So a lot of young girls grow up thinking that, you know, love or somebody, being with somebody has to be exciting, right? I have to get this passion, and oftentimes
money,
right? And oftentimes that passion, right, can turn around quick and become hurt. And abuse or dysfunction, right? And so we have a false sense of love, especially in our communities, right? We have a really deep misunderstanding of what love is, and because of that, we oftentimes associate love with pain, with excitement, with passion, with things that have nothing to do with love, right? Or sex, right? So a lot of young girls grow up thinking that, well, if I want to have somebody who protects me, they have to be a thug, right? They have to be a street dude. They have to know how to fight, right? They have to show me that they can handle me, because if you grow up being handled emotionally terribly,
remember that Dawson,
right?
the girl came in here, so she said she want a guy to beat a guy she could beat. She beat up guy, but she wants somebody to beat her up, fight back with her. That's crazy. But I'm like,
that's dysfunctional, right? And a lot, and so I remember when I first came to America, right, 1999. I went to high school, and there were girls in my high school, right? They were saying, well, I want a dog. I want somebody who's hard. And at the time, gang was really prevalent in our communities, right? And so part of that was because, let's go deeper. Women want to feel protected, right? Women want to feel protected, and for them, that protection is hard. That protection is hood. No, like it's hood. Like hood. Like that's the depiction of what feeling safe. But when you with that type of dude, you're not safe.
Because you're gonna get killed. You might get killed because somebody's gonna be after that guy.
Right? So you're not safe. But that doesn't click, right? And even when we not even talking about safe, a lot of young women grow up thinking that, well, if I want to experience excitement in my relationship, whether it's sexual or having fun, I need somebody who's out there just living that life of partying and doing all these crazy things, but they're not really thinking about the fact that that person also has a lot of chaos and dysfunction in their lives, right? And so I think we have to really start reteaching what manhood is, right? And what love is, right? And what relationships are, right? What a healthy relationship is, because many of us grew up in communities and household and surroundings that just don't teach us, right, what relationships are about or what love is. And so we have a false narrative, a false understanding of manhood, love, relationship. And so when we grow up, guess what? We repeat the same cycle, right? So a lot of girls want that thug. They want that excitement because to them, they don't want a nice guy, right? They don't want a nice guy.
They want the guy with the dread. With the dread, because he look tough.
They don't want a nice guy. That's tough. They don't want a nice guy because they associate nice with being boring and not exciting.
Yeah, to me, I feel like they're calling simp. You want to add something, or you? What's on my guy?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
They say simp.
Right.
I'm like, why they calling simp? And to me, I thought it was mean simple, but it was more about that. There is a word there from way before they started using to mean somebody that's like, I think
women don't respect.
Right.
Listen, and I think that's also one thing that works to our detriment, right? This culture of trending words, right? We always find something to demean, degrade, or belittle somebody because because of that false narrative, false understanding of what healthy should be. So we always find these words, you are simp or whatever they use.
Like the unhealthy, the unhealthy become the norm, and the healthy become the
outliers.
It's crazy. And then let's go into this, right? Like, let's say the woman with the trauma, right? We find a lot of women with the trauma because I see more and often guys are showing on Facebook that they walk into the home, they find another guy sleeping there, right? and I'm like,
What kind of social media are you watching?
I don't know. I'm like,
we have 2 different social medias.
I'm like, you could get killed. You could get killed. You're gonna, number one, why would you do it at your household? You know, do it somewhere else. You know, I'm not trying to advise to do bad, you know, all those things. And the second
that's it, Frank. Huh?
Right? You know, the other thing is, there's a lot of female, you know, which a Haitian, they say, yeah, but they could petit, like they're giving the kids is not theirs, and then they're saying that this is their kids.
Yeah. Norm,
so,
right?
So it's become a norm now. My thing is, how can, like, what do we do, like, as the men that want to do the right thing, and then they're having all this thing they have to fight? You get what I'm saying? Like, you come and then after that they're gonna use the kids as a pawn, like, to really make you do what they want, you know?
Right. So here's the thing, right? Let me speak to men. You have to know what you want as a man, right? And you have to be a man of integrity, and you have to be a man who is intentional, and you also have to have a model that you follow, that regardless of what it is.
But how can they be with all this thing going and calling men Sam?
But here's the thing, though.
They don't want the nice guy.
Let me ask you something.
So how do you expect them
if you walking outside, what's your name?
Johnny.
Johnny, right? Yeah. If you walking outside, somebody says Johnny, would you answer?
No.
That's not your name.
Exactly.
Right?
That's not you.
Because that's not your identity.
It's actually a scripture in the Bible, right? There's actually something like that in the Bible.
I'm not sure, right? Yeah. But so if I know who I am as a man, right?
I think so.
If I know who I am, and somebody's talking about simp or high value, and I don't subscribe to that, because I don't believe that just because you have money that makes you have high value.
Exactly.
Right? I don't believe that. Right. I don't believe that just because you treat a woman nicely or kindly that makes you a simp. Right. So I think we have to again redefine who we are for ourselves. And for me, I know who I am based on who God is. Right. So it doesn't matter what words are trending. It doesn't matter what social media is talking about, because I know who I am, right?
But how do you get that respect? You know what I'm saying? But you get what I'm saying? Because everybody you encounter, their mindset, that it's like it's the new thing now.
But Frank, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I hear you, right? But here's the thing: if you respect yourself, would you allow somebody to disrespect you?
No, I don't. But like, do you? Like, okay, do you still take the female out? Like, let's say a man was trying to find somebody to marry.
Yeah.
They take the person out, then the person never really want to take you out, never spend the money. There's one guy, like, he was playing, so he said, every time I take you out, you never once offer to take me out to pay.
Yeah. So that's not,
so that person's
not for you.
He finally spoke out with the girl, but the girl still calling him out. She didn't even acknowledge, like, she was wrong. She like, oh yeah, you're a broke ass, and you know all this thing. But you know what I'm saying?
Listen, I think about the play Z already talk about that. Like, you gotta know with the shoes, like, you gotta shoes, right? You gotta take your time. Like, if somebody's calling you name, she's not right for you. I mean, why you gotta bother?
That's not for you.
Yes, if she's calling you. If you have 10 women, you think 10 women. You think 10 women gonna call you simp? Like, probably not. Like, you got to keep on going. Like, if somebody calling you simp,
right? Just leave them peace.
No, but that's not me. That's what I'm saying, right? So you have
the confidence in yourself,
right? You have to be selective, right? If so here's my thing, right? If I meet someone, we start having conversations, right? Based on that first conversation, I can tell if you're somebody I want to continue talking to, right? And that's because I have that clarity, right? I'm not chasing sex. I'm not chasing bodies, right? I'm looking for something much deeper than that, right? But if you're a man, right? All you see is booties. All you see is bodies. All you see is your sexual desires. Guess what? There are a lot of those, right? And so you'll be attracted to a lot, and it will be extremely challenging to be selective because there are so many options to choose from. But when you go deeper, when you're looking for substance, that's rare,
right? And so you have to take your time, right? And like like you said, if somebody's calling you name or somebody's not respecting you or even not showing appreciation or even the desire to actually invest in you too, then that's not somebody you even want to talk to. You know what I mean?
But even to me, like even after marriage, I think you still encounter certain behavior. You know, either the person changed or maybe there was always like that. They were just waiting for the time for them to explode or to be the person they really are. You know, like somebody was not really thinking about you. You're selfish. When it's your birthday, they don't recognize it. When it's, you know, like you see that even like they might pass the test. You know, the initial test, but after they get married, they change.
That's why I think I think one of the things that one of my models like, I mean, you should live with whatever you're gonna get married with, man. Like at least for 2 years.
But also you don't be so you don't Christian. So you say live for a trial. It's almost like try the shoes first.
Of course.
No, so here's the thing, right?
Before you buy it.
You test drive. So you say there should be a test drive in marriage.
No, but it doesn't mean the car's not gonna break down. But here's the thing, though. It doesn't.
Try the car.
No, but okay.
Before you
buy it, you guys.
But let's go with that logic, right?
Okay.
Let's go with that logic.
Let's go.
Okay. You get a brand new car, right? Or you get a used car, right? You test drive the car before you get it, right? And then 2 years down the line, you get engine problems, right?
Give you a lot of time. 2 years. Sometimes you married for a woman. The woman give you only
2 years.
Two
good years. 2 good months. 2 months.
Can you return that car? Can you still return that car? Return the woman.
Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I'm a firm believer that you have to build the type of relationship that you want. And I'm not saying
Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on.
Because there's some woman you cannot change.
But that's right. So I was gonna get to that, right? It takes 2 to build a relationship, right?
Okay.
So if I ask you, if I say 1 + 1 = 2, which one equals 3? Which one is the wrong one? That doesn't make it. That doesn't add up. No. So 1 + 1 = 3. The math is not mathing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But can you tell which one needs to be removed to actually make it 3 to add a different number?
Anyone.
Any one of them, right?
Yeah.
So here's the point: when you are in a relationship, right? It's never one person that mess up the relationship.
Yeah.
Right? It takes 2. Now, here's the thing. Hold on. Here's the thing.
What's that? Say to me.
No, here's the thing, right?
Cause and effect.
Right, but then how do you decide which one starts first?
Yeah.
Right? So the point is, right? When you're in a relationship, it has to be 2 people who make the relationship work.
It can be one.
Right? If one is trying, the other one is not.
Okay,
you don't have a relationship.
in that way you make
right.
Yeah, but remember, but that logic sometimes might not work because you say it take 2 people to make the relationship work, right?
Yeah.
But if one person is not making the relationship
then
work, then you could leave. You could be out because
hold on.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
but then what if this other person says, you know what, I'm not getting what I need from you. That's why I'm not able to make it work.
But that sometimes is a lie. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel like they use a lie to say you're not getting this. If I'm bringing everything factual, like as a man or as a woman bring to the partner, right? Each partner is bringing their game, right? Like this is sometimes you're not gonna be 100%, but then you have to go back also to the beginning. Why did you marry me? Why did I marry you, right? Because sometimes people marry people for the wrong reason. So therefore, they're never going to be fair to that person. They're never gonna bring their A game, and they're gonna use different lie to say, you're not doing what you're supposed to do because you freaking marry me for immigration, for paper. You freaking marry me for money. You freaking marry for sex. So of course there's not gonna be nothing.
But that's different. That's different, right?
You see a woman, you cannot be.
You never could satisfy them, right?
You know what I said, woman?
No,
that's man and woman.
You working to bring money in the house.
It's too
they say you don't have time for it. You're not working. You stay in the house. You lazy.
Hey, put the camera. Dawson say that means the camera the dread.
No, but here's the thing, right? Here's one thing to consider, right? Here's one thing to consider, right? Most of the times we go into relationships, we don't establish the norms.
I'm sorry, you're a nice guy for real.
Hear me out, right? And it's men and women, right?
It's both.
It's not gonna take one to make it work. It has to be two, right? No, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. So I'm working on this book, right? It's called the organizational marriage, right?
Yes.
Many times when we go into a relationship, do you say, well, this is what I'm bringing to this relationship, and this is what I need you to bring to this relationship? Do we do that?
We're supposed to.
We're supposed to. But do we do it?
Some people do.
Okay.
Some people go in and say, they have a real conversation. They say, what is it that you bring to it? What I'm,
not this table conversation, because that's counterproductive. That doesn't work. I'm talking about, so you get with this person and say, you know what, as a man, as an individual, this is the emotional, the characteristics I'm bringing into this relationship.
Oh no, you.
This is the financial, right? Characteristics I'm bringing to this relationship. This is the physical. This is the physical, right? Characteristics I'm bringing to this relationship. So if we don't have that established, right? So now you get with somebody who says, "Well, I know you're working, you bringing money, but that's not what my needs are." Right?
Exactly.
So if you get with somebody, right, who is emotionally bankrupt, right?
You're right.
Who is emotionally just done, right? So now all you have to offer is money and sex.
How you gonna fix that?
Can you fix that?
But let me say, because you say something.
One thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think like what you're saying is really like. I mean, that's the norm, but the thing is, people don't disclose enough. Like, I feel like if we go way back, especially black people, they don't disclose enough information about themselves. Like, if they're getting together, like whatever.
They do.
Nobody's gonna call you and be like, I have trauma, I've been through this. They're not gonna do that.
No, I think
especially they're not gonna do that. Like saying things, they're not gonna tell you like up front.
But Johnny, you have to see it just like we said before. I think the fact that we we're so close by the appearance or by something else, we're not seeing the little thing that, or sometimes we say, oh, we could fix it. I'm like, oh, that's not a big thing, we could fix it, but it is a big thing if you see it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that is not always true. We just don't want to see it.
Right, and that that's why we talk about that's why we talk about being intentional, right? And also being aware of your history, right? Your trauma, your story, right? Because oftentimes we do see red flags, but because we don't know the effect of those red flags, and we just jump in head first and say, you know what, right? We go into relationships with the wrong intention. We go into relationships with the wrong understanding of relationships, right? Because oftentimes people will say, well, just because I feel for you, just because you make my heart flutter, just because you make me feel good, just because, like I get the butterfly, then, we in love, we should be together. No. What qualities, right? What qualities does this person have? Right? What skills does this person have to have a relationship?
But you said to be subtle because you say that, I'm going to be honest, some females don't even give a damn about quality. But go back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Some female want a guy that could bang them or hold their neck. That some female, that's what they want. Some female, you know, they would leave the guy with the money for the guy who could do that, right? You know, when we were talking about that lady in Haiti, what's that Timoto in the party? Yeah, before, no, when we were saying that the church girl. So they were saying that, what's her name? I forgot.
Miss Roland.
I forgot her name, whatever. So they said she had a boyfriend that was very nice, and then she ended up taking a guy with a Timoto, like, what's his name? The one that you were talking about. Sewolan. So what happened is, the story, just give you a little background. So it was a lady preaching, she had a radio show. So what happened is, they say the guy, there was a nice church guy that was dating her or trying to call her. And she left the nice church guy for a gang member and the motorcycle, right? And because the guy could, you know, do yeah. So you know, something like, so that's why. So some, I think, like you say, what is it for each person? What is their emotional? What do they need, right? What are their need? Because you could feel like you have all the good quality, but it's not set for that female.
That's not what they need.
That's not what they need.
Right. That's not what they're ready for. That's not what they're ready for, right?
Even though you nice, whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to find out what the person needs.
Right, and so that's the point, right? You cannot, again, go into relationships based on what somebody needs, right? You have to understand who you are, right? You have to understand who you are, because if I know who I am, right, I will choose a partner who aligns with who I am, right? I will choose a partner who actually aligns with my purpose. Can you imagine, especially me right now, getting with somebody who doesn't align with anything I'm doing? That's just a stressful situation waiting to happen. Right?
You won't be able to do this anymore.
I won't be able to do anything, right? And so you have to, again, I think many of us think about, you know, this instant gratification, right? You're attractive, you have money, right? You make my heart flutters, then guess what? It's love, we should be together. But we don't have any skills that actually says we can maintain a relationship
or complement each other.
Exactly, right. That too. Well, we never even take time to talk about the fact that, you know what, if we're gonna do this thing, what do you need from me? What do you need from me? Right? What do I need to have to actually make this relationship work? But regardless, right? Regardless, right? But you can see. Listen, if you take time, here's the thing, right? Here's one thing. When you remove sex, hold on.
Does it have
money?
Hold on. Hear me out, right? When you remove sex, especially at the beginning, you get to know people.
So over the sex. Because that's what the Bible say, like when when you dating somebody the first, before you get married, you have to get to know them. So that's what you say. But is it really, does it tell you the truth? Okay, yeah, the bike is started 10 minutes. Okay, me party. Okay, yeah,
Johnny. Mbaka wala chubaga kumbawe sa babakera. That's nonsense. Listen. On forme from nan bel nan figil li bagay. Gomba qui pral fort courir. Et ça grand pile mariage ou paraît dans l'église.
Oui. Est-ce qu'il travaille tout le monde? Même chrétien, est-ce qu'il travaille tout le monde?
Ouais, si moun te kontale. Ouais, si moun te kon moun.
Depuis avant.
Faut tirer ta avec.
Mon cher
il va jamais d'être marié.
Pas d'ap mariage. Mon Lakou il a marié. Bon ba pas de net qui va marier avec une femme pour pas connaître gen bouboun. Là, ok. L'on fait mariage, c'est là qu'on a l'homme déshabillé, ou est-ce que vous
yo tout pas fait sec, yo tout pas bien moun.
Non, pas bien. Avec tu pas camper.
So okay, here's the thing, right? So here's the thing, right? So what happens, right? Qu'est-ce qui passe? Là ou vient avec un monde, right? You start getting to know somebody, and then what happens after you have sex?
Qu'est-ce qui va? Ça qui passe après ça.
Ça qui passe après, yeah.
Oui.
Eh bien, lui-même qui va mettre
Exactly. Okay, so here's the point. Here's the point, right? Here's me bagay la, right? So ça va faire une décision
qui pas bon.
Qui bâtit sur sexe, right? So now, here's the problem. Non, et pas même le pas bon même.
Non.
Mais problème là. Pasteur.
Ou tu vas passer.
Voilà. Pas de nègre. On cherche toute qualité ta femme. Mais premier bagage là. On cherche ça pour pas jouer là-dedans.
Mais il veut dire ou vient faire dans moi avec fille qui bon bouboune, right? Qu'on y a sous qualité fille pas bon. Si on fille qui bouge, excusez-moi, on fille qui pas bon, on fille qui bagaille, qui manger, mais à cause non, on got goûter là, it is and now you like, oh yeah, I want to marry, right? That's what you're saying in a way.
You see, hold on, let's point out one issue, right? You see why we have so many kids without fathers? Because of that mindset.
Avant fait du ça
because of that mindset, right? Because of that mindset.
L'homme fait la pour dire fille bon, on petit mon avec, et on fait la fille pas bon, on courir.
Tout le monde pas fait comme ça.
Oh, tout le monde va faire sexe.
Tout le monde fait jodi à la épidémie, tout le monde.
C'est sexe qui fait tout le monde.
Verset, OK. Mais c'est on a les garçons nous.
Oui.
That's why he has the book for us. You gotta read that book.
Non, pas ça bien. Mais problème avec
oui, qui va dire. Écoute, il y a eu ce décidé, parlez non.
La fait chaud, hein.
Parlez. Non, parlez, nous mettons parler parce que c'est ma grande vie. Parlez.
Est-ce qu'on s'en la mieux?
Oui.
OK. Merci. Rends-moi fou ou sage. Pas de nez. Je vais parler fort, madame micro.
Je vais pas bon micro.
Soit l'eau, on a mis là, pas correct, mon petit genre, bah il a pas. Oh ouais, pas la gueule.
La gueule, tu nous en parler bien pour. On parle.
C'était pas très bien.
C'est son nice guy.
That's funny.
C'est le gars qui l'a fait.
Bah la bas sorti bon.
D'accord.
Bah la bas sorti bon, bah la mauvais. Bah la mauvais. Déjà de.
You can have a fiction, okay?
Non.
Oui.
Non.
Vous
l'avez. Ah oui, maman.
Non, infection.
Ah, ça passe là.
Vous êtes un docteur.
Un docteur, même. Moi, je passe. Parce que tu as pris tout le temps là avec moi.
So let me clarify something.
T'allez passe. Même si nous gros ça lui-même.
Bien mal.
Non, pour aller.
Allez, qu'est-ce que ça fait pas?
Mon dans les mêmes, mon gros c'est jouer nous au petit pas corps.
Oui.
Même Capel va camper, non?
Il va oh, il y a un vrai sorti.
Même Capel va camper.
Il va prêter.
T'as ouais nous-mêmes garçons.
Yeah.
Là nous jeunes filles. Nous pas tout le temps. Nous pensons que nous avons changé monde. Et tant que c'est papa loué, on comprend. Garçon lui-même, femme là, même quand quelque soit côté femme là sorti, lui-même, dans bon sens, il sorti, faut protéger moun ça. Mais femme là, pas tout bagage ça là calibre.
Et vous parce que c'est femme qui fait plus divorce, qui initiate divorce là. Yeah. So, but comme répondre question ça après ça on fait final thought.
Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing.
Oui.
When we lead relationships with sex, we don't have no I'm not saying no c'est pas ça m'a dit, c'est pas ça m'a dit. C'est pas ça m'a dit. Moun fait ça ou le fait, c'est choix pas yo, right? But what I'm saying is, les comme si on entre dans une relation, right? C'est sexe qui est en premier, ou pas gen moyen pour venir vraiment connaître moun ça parce que émotion est en vin trop fort, right? And so for a lot of women, hold on, for a lot of women, right? They get attached. Like, I don't know about women now, but when I was growing up, if a man or a boy had sex with a woman, that became an emotional connection, attachment, right? Yeah. And so that leads to a lot of dysfunction because oftentimes us boys, it's not even because we want the relationship. Exactly. Yeah. We just wanted to do what we wanted to do. And so now you end up with a crazy girl. You end up with a crazy woman because of that, right? Yeah.
Where you going now?
Say that again?
Where you grow up?
I grew up in Haiti.
Haiti?
Yeah.
Are you married?
Diga 17 ans, mi agwan, 17 ans. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ok, bon. Ou se ne lor apre me ti wash, a le rivière. Ok. Gye de bagay vraiment.
Di va konde.
Ou pas tellement konde.
Pa konde ki sa.
Frappe moun nan de pipi.
No, but ça me faut comprendre, right? Love vin mette tête dans la situation ça, right? So also you l'am dit tout à l'heure, like when you leading with sex, right? You cannot be selective. You smash anybody that walks around like in front of you, right? But when you want something bigger for yourself, you have to have that discipline and say, you know what? God forbid we have sex, you get pregnant, I don't want to be ashamed of you having my kid. Right? I don't want to think about the fact that you're going to stress me to freak out because we have a kid together, right? So wait.
That so yeah.
Gentlemen, I gotta run.
Anyway, tell the people. No, wait.
Can you cook it for us?
Yeah.
Who tell you to do sex?
Okay. Don't say. Comment c'est ça? Il s'est pas dit. People where to get them.
Yes.
To get their leave.
Absolutely. So you can find the books on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, any websites really where books are sold. If you type my name, Mark Montplaisir, on Google, you'll find me literally everywhere. I'm on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, what else? Facebook. So definitely look me up. Grab you a copy of those books, man. They're really powerful. I've had really amazing feedback. Definitely get a copy if you want to change your life. If you want to improve your relationships, if you want to improve, be part of the.
2 books.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Do you have it electronically?
I do not. I'm working on that. I'm working. So what you mean like an audio book?
Yeah.
No, I don't have it yet, but I'm working on it.
How much are the books?
So this one is 20. This is 15. So,
Okay.
We'll do.
On va prendre une tour. On m'a demandé toute question ça. On m'a dit toute question ça. On va prendre. John, you have one livre?
No, I need it electronically. That's why.
Electronic. Got it.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Non, mais il te ka font mon cadeau. On va prendre une.
Yeah, I can leave one. I can leave one of each.
Okay.
Next time I'll buy anything.
Yeah, I'll leave one of each.
We know. I mean, we could contact them, right?
No, I'll leave one of each.
About
you know to let it. Yeah.
Well, on lucky you
Yes, but it was a pleasure, fellas.
Yes,
it was great. Absolutely. Absolutely. Say the word.
Fais photo.
Non, annoncer nous va couper choix pour là.
Oh yes, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. Okay.
immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quel que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belrose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on fait l'application pour quel que soit forme. Commercial Agency Insurance Broker qui offre service assurance pour caille, machine commerciale, assurance de vie et latrier. Sans compter en dedans Franks Multi-Service Corp, qui y a Smiley Tax Service qui c'est gros causé. Qui bail service taxe individuelle, business, taxe préparation, payroll, bookkeeping, ak sales tax. Depuis ou fil tax ou ak expert Smiley Tax Service yo, ou tête frais ak ARS. Quel que soit problème ou ta gagné l'autre côté ak tax ou, vin joindre expert yo dans Smiley Tax Service, y a corrigé yo pour vous. Franks Multi-Service Corp 237-33 Jamaica Avenue, Belrose, New York. Téléphone 516 673 46 77 516 673 97 67. Yo équipe professionnelle, compétent, sérieux avec un service d'accueil exceptionnel, regroupé ensemble sous nom Franks Multi-Service Corp, offre communauté à service professionnel dans plusieurs domaines. Asian American Immigration Association, service immigration tant qu'on
Oui, en summary.
Mes amis, nous retournons. Nous parler.
No, you va sur moi.
Oh, yeah, very sorry, yeah.
Et nous retournons, Johnny s'est passé là, quand la guerre là.
Avancez plus, Johnny. Non, il a avancé. Ok, good, bon, on y a. Ok.
Nous retournons là, côté qu'il retourne là, et je nous connais, nous t'ai invité ensemble avec nous.
Oui, un bel topic.
Nous avons mon plaisir ensemble avec nous, qui ont des belles books.
Nous avons parlé des livres, ça.
Nous avons parlé des books, ça.
Nous avons parlé de l'importance. Oui, qui sont à dire, bon, toutes questions à demander, oui. Et même pour qu'ils soient pas couillons la caméra, parler de yo. Ou pas d'accord.
Parce que t'es là, parce que.
Oui, sont à demander pasteur, ou pas d'accord pour avec une fille, sans lui pas, soit pas contre fille, soit pas contre couleur qui l'autre, ça veut dire. Pose des questions à nous.
Imaginons.
Oui.
Et mes amis, et communauté à captain de là. Et bon, et si là, non.
Mais c'est chrétien disent, on va se poser avec fille tout au beau comme aïe. On même mouti qui ça.
Ok. Il y a haute technologie qu'on a là, on fait pour qu'on ait une femme avant qu'on marie. C'est comme si on achète une machine. On est monté souvent la machine pour passer clé, on va comme là, non, on va faire comme ça. You gotta try.
Test drive. So veut dire son machine test drive, ils mettent pas les clés test drive.
Faut vivre la cave.
Faut vivre combien de temps? 2 ans?
Combien de temps?
1 an? Oui. Parce qu'il y a trop volé de
3 mois.
Voilà, le truc. 3 mois. Comme je m'adonne là, qui a 8 ans là. Après ça là, faut la 4 ans là. Là, de temps en temps, il fait me fâcher. Il y a des petits problèmes.
Il va dire, oui.
Il y a un problème.
On va pas passer garantie sur lui. Parce que je fais les concours vaches. Parce que les concours, il dit ça. T'es pour lâcher machine là, il besoin pour faire l'autre 4 ans encore. Et oui, nous avons liste là. Oui.
C'est ça,
oui,
c'est pas au contraire.
Même les coop, faut que je vois plein et Il y a quand même petit bagage.
Qui bagage.
Quand même.
Mais fille pas dire même bagage tout pour garçon en tout. Fille pas dire conseil pour tester garçon pour 6 mois 1 an. Mais fille fait ça tout bon tout. Oui, fille fait ça tout bon, c'est que oui. Fille ali même il teste sous pas gain corps, il teste sous pas gain bonne, il teste ah, bon, vous avez pas dit ça, les pasteur. Bon casting. Yo, le faux casting, ça veut dire au pas de travail. Oui.
Au travail, toi.
Au travail.
C'est paresseux. Bon. Et puis, là, comment c'est travail, toi? Et ça, il faut pas gagner maintenant.
Il y a cherché excuse.
Oui, et ça.
Travail, toi?
Pour nous, pas bon monde.
Ça fait les cap marché travail, toi.
Mais si ça y fait, il y a pas de qui pas travail trop là, il y a oui, et qui travaille trop là, il pas comme la même nèg là.
Après le travail, on va petit bon, même va bien manger.
Mais ça nous dit à son bon bail, ou dit comme ça que chaque 3 ans même ça ou lit son machine, chaque 3 ans renew list là. Sur le bon après son machine là.
C'est pas bon.
C'est pas bon, oui, mais you bon you
ça c'est pas.
non, je suis pas d'accord.
Avant de moi-même, même 6 fois qu'on commence à grand monde, même non, clair, correct, oui.
Salut.
Avant les
Johnny Clay.
On ne va pas parler fort.
Pas de regarder
Attendez bien, Johnny. On lève là, on va mourir dans le doula. Et bon, de la fait mal. On va la mal. J'ai laissé net qui a fait mal.
Oui. Qui devait ça?
C'est problème net qui.
D'être dans ce quoi ça oui. Go de qui dit quoi ça? Il dit comme ça, il pas le côté madame les soirs, il prend boîte, il mettait tout, il mettait tanné non, il mettait bagage pour d'eau faire mal, ça veut dire des potes bagage fait à dire il juste passer. Oui. Pour oui, parce que cette les filles, ils viennent pas de filles, ils vont douleur, pied fait mal, dos fait mal. Oh, remède nèg là.
Chaque coup là, il y a un problème. Si tu as envie, chaque coup aller là, il y a un problème.
Il y a un problème.
Comme d'accord, on va comme ça. Et débattre pour nous tout bas.
Just for new list.
Bon, ça période là, bon, Johnny fait annoncer les débats sont tigènes.
Ah, bah non, mais non, c'est trop de lié mais puis c'est pas les deux.
Madame, moi, qui a fait intéressant là, t'as l'aime changer.
Au point new list.
Comment c'est là?
Et lui, il peut changer.
Comment c'est là?
Non, ni même pas l'arranger machine, ni même. C'est juste liste là changer. Il juste changer liste là.
Ah, il y a qui d'autre?
Ah, il y a qui d'autre?
Quelqu'un vous voyez les cabas?
Moi, je ne sais pas comprendre comment quitter là. Ma prête à mon pour quitter. Pour
c'est vous.
Ah, et donc, vous avez la caméra, et donc, c'est lui qui a dit ça.
Non, mais c'est live.
Vous l'avez. Oui.
Ça t'a pas on dit, je t'ai parlé.
Bon, mais c'est un bagage qui est très important. Je me demande la question du coup ça c'est efficace quand des mamans yo ka ba yo mauvais vaille sur amis yo, il y a des mauvais informations quand maman a dit quitter tel monde ou pas faire ça. Et ça nous pense de ça parce que grand pile belle-mère qui a pas problème ouais.
Oui, bon, on pense son fille qui était plus expliquer nous a bien comment faire on attend.
Non, mais on même on dit fille qui est-ce qui prend problème là et nous même qui prend problème là. Les belles-mères a dit mauvais tête de dos qui est
ça doit faire on faut pas problème même jamais c'est ça.
Ça c'est aller.
Oui.
J'attendais non. Mais tu comprends. Comme une fois écrasé et maman femme qui écrasé.
OK.
Mon imagine oh maman faut pas intelligent tout. D'abord arriver tout pas ta mari. On maman femme Le pour arriver, faut me demander combien de temps.
Va vivre.
Non, relation.
OK.
Oui, vas-y, maman, par exemple,
C'est 40 ans.
Oh, yeah, c'est important.
Après, marié, combien de temps il te fait dans la relation?
Yes. Parce que maman a pas, sa maman a passé, il ne pas petite là.
Il va répéter, il va
mais papa, quand maman compte bouger, il va répéter qu'il bouge, non?
Oui, comme ça.
Il y a un nadon. Mais il y a un tout, c'est bouger, il va répéter qu'il bouge.
OK. Mais est-ce que
il faut équipe.
non, mais et pas ça, et pas juste on va même utiliser le mot bouger, non? Même ça, non, moi quand bâti mon mauvais information côté maman dit non, maman a dit comme ça. Non, maman qui n'aime pas parler. Coco, maman dit
mauvaise formation.
Parce que maman pas son mauvaise expérience. Ou comment ça veut dire laisser maman pas son mauvaise expérience avec papa. Non, et pas un bagage. Non, il était un mauvais mari ou mauvais papa Timoun qui t'a maltraité le kounia. Maman ça bah petite mauvaise information ou pas fait ça pour monsieur. Ou bon qui fait l'agir comme ça avant. On l'a entré là fort, bon on va parler avec un petit lit, l'a entré dans le business sur toute bagaille ça yo.
Ouais ça, si c'est cas où il va quitter dans même bois. Si c'est cas moi il oublié quitter.
Va faire maman quitter.
Oui, le tout là de sorti. Mais ton l'autre monde dans caille. Parce que ou pas qu'à une case de foyer moi parce que c'est temps on a caille moi on bagaille. OK, vie bouson, rentrer dans vie, mariage moi bail.
Pas gâter mariage.
Pas gâter mariage, oui, il est clair.
Balade mais pas du
on va vivre à mon femme madame Franck
ton petit bagage petit try
bagage problème ça
bien choisi les après on me dit que ça
maman madame la comment tu fois avec lui
non mais dès qu'elle dit me puis bon belle-mère mais bon belle-mère a tête plus bien que petit li yo quitté petit bouillon moi yo quitté manger oui bon belle-mère avec belle matin il va quitter un beau
on commence à pas être correct et avant comme bouger et oui et petit tout bouger niaise tout et quand je frère et quand je laisse
on parle de aussi
ça parle oui OK nouveau pas de nouveau ballon de ça
balade non
non peut-être faire le nom bouillon
non mais de balade cause pour tout passer on prend mon Dieu tout m'bave vous balade oui bien là côté avec casser business oui parce que c'est toi d'Ice Cream là
non c'est correct c'est une belle petite Lola là
oui ah Jordi ouais soit pas pour ça non il envie de choix chauffer là oui de TV sur Jordi contact
bon
yes
guy bon nous va le finir
on a nice guy le fille mais nice guy bio qui te dit caler tête yo
nice guy moi
on va ça dans cette fait dans cette barre tête il peut pas caler tête li
et bah les gars
il petit cool ouais la plaît il
prend la balle là
on va prendre encore on va préparer ça encore
maman maman ça faut maman
voilà ça
ou ka gi maman mais pas là c'est clair il va là
d'accord
ah on se soit pété
mais garçon il a même pas dit et pas fille seulement garçon yo entend tout va
maman bagui des autres depuis une bague
oui mais garçon qu'on entend tout tu vois il quitte maman yo entrer tout
non faut que les même c'est tout bas oui bah stable petit bouillon on nous garder souffrant
c'est un plaisanterie.
Un plaisir, oui.
Avant une belle émission, nous faisons une plaisanterie, nous.
Oui, mais c'est l'émission va finir de parler. On va ouais. Et là ça va.
Même si c'est sous console là.
Prochaine fois, la qui te mise avant, il était avant. Oui. Pour qu'à parler.
N'a fumé dans connaît.
Les tinois.
Oui.
Belle mais pas de problème.
Ça passe, l'émission ça va finir.
Mais on commence par la on qui commence le temps, oui.
Fini non.
C'était Lakou Trankil qui était avec nous et nous connaissons. L'émission ça c'est l'émission passée. Chaque jeudi et dans les arts, mais c'était niveau sur Radio Cascade 94.5 et nous sur YouTube là. Et Black
Wallet, yeah. Quand you change le podcast, Showtime at the Office podcast. Maybe you Google YouTube là, yeah, well, and then not TikTok, now you know the financial guideline.
All right, anyway,
yeah.
we got it
you
on
know.
YouTube.
Yes.
Showtime.
Yes. Showtime.
On est Black
and on Facebook là, nous là, comme il dans Facebook là, nous Radio Cascade, right?
Nous sur débat nous là.
Yes.
Nous sur débat.
Tout Haïti là,
tout Haïti, yes.
You know, et normalement nous sur Eden's débat.
Okay.
Sur Facebook nous sur Eden débat.
Okay.
Okay. Nous partager lui ou nous sur Tidol, nous sur Tidol.
Yeah.
Ou nous sur Frank tout.
Yeah. Yeah. De tous côtés. Yeah, Frank Manti service, yeah.
Ou nous Johnny Saint-Domingue.com. Mais oui, qui arrive sur nous.
Bon, nous pas même de Johnny tout le temps ça fait notre bois. Qui ça l'a réglé? On a fait ça next time. Oui, on l'a fait. Eh, vous pas vite. Non, il faut le rapport, et pas ça?
Nice guy.
Nah, I'm a nice guy, let's say no, mec.
Ok. Et mon cap conduit, vous qui arrivé sur nous, pas bon. Et ça cap boire pas conduit. Parce que les policiers arrêtent, et pas de l'argent loger bas ou, ni bonbon loger bas ou, étiquette bas ou.
Et il y a une glace et les ice.
Les carbons, tout le monde met de là, là, le mettre de côté, on va t'expliquer.
Il met de la ice.
C'est comme mentiment de haut. Les amis, quittez-nous là.
Oh, yes.
Fabien, tout
c'est pas mais tout le monde dit.
Plus belle émission. Qui a fait nous qui
al partager al regarder
oui notre semaine quoi nous avons guest beaucoup confirm but nous quoi nous avons guest
nous passer na bon
non ka bon beaucoup
oh mais à ça c'est bon pas ça fait même si l'évangile
oh, qu'est-ce que c'est? Un faux bon.
Ah, c'est bon.
Et malgré les negbam là.
Fais quoi des jours ça vous me barre?
La bonne choix, va venir.
Regarde. Bah, il y a pas là, au fond, quand on sorti.
Oui.
Ah, oui.
On peut voir des choses.
Eh, bon, bah, les bip, ou pas qu'on est. Bon, blanc, bah, ou là, il paraît, mais il passe au remède.
Non, mais Bible, on va pas côté Bible à ça. Et Egyptien, oui, Bible à ça aussi. Oui, bon Bible.
Ah bon, Bible.
Oui, après ça, oui, bien bon là quand même. The Egyptian Bible.
OK.
Yeah, ma pote non là. Il y a plus game book là qui parle avec le Bible.
Ah.
Oui, on connaît que les gars bien. On va c'est des gars bien. Ah, OK. Oui, on va mettre.
D'abord religion et islamiste là.
Oui.
Et mon salam alaikum yo. C'est Coran qui plus bon Bible.
Oui, c'est d'après eux-mêmes.
Oui, d'après eux-mêmes. On peut chercher.
Mais pas oublier. Pour eux mettre yo cap servir bon Dieu.
Pas oublier pas bien religion les Jésus-Christ fait. On les pour nous parler pas bien religion.
Ah mais c'est ça.
Est-ce que la Bible dit Jésus était ménage? Yo vais toujours dire pas ça.
Beaucoup net, beaucoup venir tout. M'ba checker ma faut connaître. Non, c'est pas non, ça, you crée l'autre moitié ça pas moitié.
Créé ça ba ou.
OK.
La mise.
OK, sur le débat, oui.
On a débat là, oui. Non, la pas business débat nous.
Et pas ça.
On allait.
Oui, fini. Les était trop il pas problème.
Nous là.
Il y a un texte là.
Voilà, Maou.
On a le